Evening, everybody. It is 5:55 on Tuesday, and this is your closing comment for Tuesday the 28th, and it was an interesting day. It's video number 1342. So I'm not going to go through all of the stocks because pretty much everything was down with the exception of the energy sector. There were some bright spots here and there, but we actually started off okay. And then at 10 o'clock, we got two different news items, which initially hurt the market, then it rallied again, and then it turned down. The first of those was the consumer confidence number, which came in at 98.7. That was down from a 101 estimate, but as far as versus last month, it was down from 103.2, which, by the way, was also restated from 106.4. So if you're looking at it just on a month to month, we went basically from 106.4 to 98.7. The other was the expectation index. It hit a new low of 66.4. That goes back to 2013. It was the biggest piece of that was inflation expectations, which were 8% versus 7.5%. And as I've mentioned here, inflation based on sentiment is really the key. And if people are concerned about inflation and they start to cut back, you get the recession, regardless of how you got it. Okay, Nike. So they had earnings yesterday. The earnings looked okay, but their estimates going forward, their guidance was crappy. And this morning, when I talked about it, it was about 108, and that was down about $2.50. It actually, when the market opened and it went up, we traded as high as 114, and then when the market turned down, we traded as low as 102. The last is 102.73, and that's down 777 or 7%. Wynn and Las Vegas Sands were both a little higher on relaxation of issues in China and Macau. Las Vegas Sands was 34.51. That was up $1.34, and Wynn was 59.49, up $1.80. I don't really follow Las Vegas Sands as much, but Wynn was a stock that generally traded between 100 and 125. So down here at 59 and change, it looks kind of cheap. In the Spirit, JetBlue, Frontier saga, Save Spirit was up 28 cents on an increased bid. JetBlue was up a nickel, and the big winner of the day seems to be Frontier, up 23 cents. Of course, Frontier is only an $8 stock, so 23 cents was meaningful. And here's one for those of you who don't bother to sleep at night, or you want to buy something that you can't sleep at night. LYT, Lighten. It is a software platform technology company. I have no idea what that actually means, but they did 2.7 million share IPO 13 days ago at $4.75, which was about a 12.5 or $13 million deal. The stock it opened on the 15th of last month at 20, and in the last 8 days, it has traded up to yesterday's close of 47. Made a new all-time high yesterday at 47.06. So we're talking about a company that basically went from a $13 million deal to a $127 million deal. And frankly, I'm not really sure what they do. Even reading up on it, I'm not sure what they do. But it opened at 42 today, which was down 5, and then it traded down to $5.15. The last is 704, down 39.96 or 85%. And what's interesting here is that this 2.7 million share company traded 21 million shares today. So, if you want to stay awake at night, buy yourself a round lot, see what happens. Okay, so we were sharply lower everywhere. Didn't actually really bother me all that much. Down 491 or 1.5% in the Dow, down 343, down 3%. That was the big loser, the Nasdaq. S&P down 78. That's 2%. And the Russell was down 32, that's 1.8%, and the transport's down 233 or 1.73%. The reason that it doesn't bother me particularly is because I think it was news driven today, and I think it'll be news driven tomorrow when we get the third estimate of the first quarter GDP, expected to be about minus 1.5, and the deflator, which is expected to be about 8.1. So, we get a good number, it could easily turn the market right back up. Be that as it may, Bob Chapek at Disney got his contract renewed. It expires in February, so that bit of uncertainty is gone. What was interesting there is that we actually came into the day with a position in Disney calls. We sold a bunch of them at $2.99, $2.20, and the stock finished towards the low of the day at 96 and change. 95 and high change. And then after the announcement of Capex getting a new deal going forward, the stock actually rallied back to 96.19. So not a lot of action there. We have no money in the trade because of closing out bits and pieces of it over the last 2 days. But I'm going to hold the last little bit of it. I think we're long 2 in the big account, 1 in the smaller account. Also, the advanced declines were not terrible. We were roughly 2.6 to 1 down in both the NYSE and NASDAQ, which is not terrible. Also, the VIX 2836 was only up $1.41, which is also kind of surprising. Oil up $2.19, and that was the only group, energy was the only group of my sectors that was actually up. And we're just, we bounced off the Fibonacci number and into all of this support. And since then, we've gone from 101.53. We closed pretty close to the high today at 111.76 with the high of 112.22. So I'm going to guess we're probably going to be in the $114, $115 area. Gold was basically unchanged, down 360. Bitcoin down another 625. That one's getting a little iffy, and I'm beginning to hear more and more chatter about the fact that that's where our black swan is going to be. One of these guys is going to fail, or Terra is going to break $1. Tether, not Terra, is going to break $1, and all hell will break loose based on the amount of leverage that's being used. The dollar was up 58 cents, bonds were down about 1/8, and that gas was up a big 2 pennies. All right, everyone. I'll be back first thing in the morning with those economic numbers and a pre-opening comment.